Hi and welcome to ECCB Connects. As we wrap up our discussion on financial health and well-being, individuals from across the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union share their financial goals for 2022. We also hear from insurance advisor at Sagicor Life Eastern Caribbean Inc., Quinn Martin, on how they can actually achieve these goals. Stay with us. We'll continue in a moment.
The Eastern Caribbean Central Bank is rolling out Dcash, the next step in the evolution of the EC dollar. Use Dcash to send and receive money to and from friends and family. Make payments directly from your smart device. Make payments from wherever you are. Download the app from the Google Play or Apple Store and sign up, or visit dcashec.com for more information. The future of the EC dollar is digital. Let's make history together.
This week, we are going to round up our discussion on financial health and financial wellness. And I have with me insurance advisor at Sagicor Life Eastern Caribbean Inc., Mr. Quinn Martin. Quinn, welcome to ECCB Connects.
Thank you so much for having me. It's indeed a pleasure to be here.
Okay. Quinn, at the start of each year, people tend to make goals or what you call resolutions. And we know financial goals and financial resolutions are among all these great things people set for themselves. But with all the other goals and all the other resolutions, sometimes we don't meet them. With respect to financial goals, what are some of the key factors that cause people not to meet these goals?
Well, I do believe that discipline and adherence to your financial goals or the accomplishment of those goals is of paramount importance. Yes, persons make goals and they have objectives that they want to fulfill throughout the year, but without remaining consistent and disciplined and making the adjustments that are necessary to accomplish that goal, it becomes difficult. So I think that when persons are not disciplined in changing their regular activities to conform to the accomplishment of their goals, then they fall short and sometimes they give up on the goal. The other thing that should be considered in the accomplishment of one's goals is not having a specific outline of the goal that you want to accomplish, especially as it relates to the amount of money needed to accomplish that goal. Sometimes the goals are too vague and then persons run into trouble down the line. So that is another reason why some persons fail. And then life happens, as we have seen with the COVID-19 virus. Things come out of the blue sometimes that we can't foresee and that we can't predict. And of course, that can derail persons from accomplishing their goals. But as we will discuss further, that is why different contingencies and a carefully planned budget is important to ensure that these things don't derail persons from accomplishing their financial goals.
Okay, great. So you talk about discipline, consistency, being clear about what you want to achieve. And of course, life happens, so we have to make space for those things. Now, for 2022, individuals across the region have shared their financial goals with us. We are going to listen to them. And of course, we'll ask you to offer some advice in terms of how they can stick to these goals and how they can actually achieve them. Let's hear the first one.
My financial goals for myself are: one, to eliminate debt if it's possible. Two, create financial stability for myself, not just only having a saving account.
So Quinn, this individual has touched on an important topic, debt. And I just want to stress, and you can support me, that debt is not necessarily a bad thing.
Correct. I agree with that. Of course, seeking finance sometimes put persons in debt, but it can also create opportunities for persons to gain money to then alleviate that debt. So it's not always a bad thing at all.
Okay, so how can this individual, he says he wants to eliminate debt if possible and be financially stable. What advice do you have for him?
Alleviating debt usually comes down to one, living within one's means and ensuring that, of course, there are priorities set to be fulfilled on a monthly basis. So I would encourage you to make that list of priorities, focus on those first and foremost. And if there are funds left over, of course, that can go to anything else that you wish to accomplish. But the priorities are a must, first and foremost. As it relates to financial stability, there are great resources available. There are endowment plans on the insurance end. Those are policies that pay you a lump sum of money at the end of a specific period of time. And you can also consider consolidations, which bring all of your debts into one, which usually reduce the monthly payment that you have. It might extend the loan amortization, but of course, you'll be able to enjoy a low monthly payment, which would over time lead to you being debt-free.
All right, thank you. Let's go to two other persons.
In 2014, I met in a motorcycle accident, which left me unable to work for at least 5 to 6 years. After that, I was able to get back out to work. The fact that I was renting houses, renting lands to live, my initial plan was to get a piece of land, which I acquired in 2021. Now, 2022, my plan is to acquire enough finances to install a foundation, a dwelling house foundation on that land. And I intend to achieve that in 2022.
My financial goal for 2022 is to work harder to finish the completion of my home, and after doing so, is to work even harder to maintain me and my family in life.
Quinn, these two gentlemen have similar goals. They want to build. And as you mentioned earlier, life happens. We see that in the first gentleman, Richard, life happened. He had an accident. How can they achieve their goal of building a property, building a home for themselves and their families?
Well, one of the first things I would admonish Richard to think about or even to do is to be a bit more specific as to what it is you want to accomplish and when you want to accomplish it. You did not specify the amount that you might need to accomplish your goal. If I recall, you said you want to acquire enough finances, but how much is enough? So it is very important to be detailed about your goal. And then you also spoke about achieving your goal in 2022, but when in 2022? You know, by answering these questions, you would have a better picture of what it is you want to accomplish, when you want to accomplish it, how much money you would need to accomplish it, and that should put you on a better track to fully realizing your goals.
Okay. And I guess that's similar for the other gentleman because he wasn't specific. He just broadly, this is what he wants to achieve.
Yes, he spoke about working hard, but even outside of working hard, you have to work smart. You know, and working hard is important because it speaks to the discipline that is needed to accomplish your goal. But you also have to do the necessary research to know what it is you want to accomplish. Also, like the other gentleman, decipher how much it would cost. If you need to acquire another job, work more hours. These are things that you have to factor in to accomplish your goal.
We've heard from St. Kitts and Nevis and Grenada. Quinn, we're now going to hop across to Anguilla and the Commonwealth of Dominica.
The last 4 years has been very hard for my business because of Hurricane Irma and now the pandemics. My New Year's resolution is to see my business get back to pre-Irma COVID status and to be more focused on savings and proper budgeting.
We have two financial resolutions for 2022. Firstly, to improve the ease of doing business with Prevo Cinemall by utilizing digital and online avenues to reduce cash transactions. And secondly, to provide a safe and healthy environment for the Prevo Cinemall for doing business.
Quinn, we're moving into a different direction now. Before we had individuals with personal and family goals. Now we have two individuals with business goals. What advice do you have for them?
Well, in starting with Ms. Peoples from Dominica, I like the fact that she is alluding to getting into a more digital way of doing business, especially in this new COVID era. So I applaud her for that. I think that she's on the right track. I think that in this new era, persons have to diversify and find new ways that they can even target new demographics. For instance, she says that she owns a cinema. That might be a great opportunity to maybe introduce some arcade games, maybe to cater to a younger demographic. And that way you are catering to individual persons at a time, as opposed to a whole cinema full of patrons, which, as we know, there are restrictions against that at this particular point in time. So to make up for that shortfall as a result of the restrictions, maybe some games or something that can host individuals can bring in some additional income. The gentleman who spoke before, I would encourage him to seek a more digital way of approaching business going forward, not necessarily try to get back to what it was before, because we are in a new space now. You know, it's a new way of thinking and a new way of doing business. And this new way of doing business might even give him more opportunities that did not exist before. So do some planning, look at how you can change different aspects of your business in order to conform to the new digitized way of doing business. And that might even bring in more income than you had before COVID and before Hurricane Irma.
Right. So the advice for business owners is to really take advantage of the opportunities that COVID-19 presents, or even any other challenge or disaster they might have faced. How do you use that to take your business to the next level? Okay, Quinn, we are now going to St. Lucia.
My goal is to invest my money in alternative sources and markets instead of just savings in the bank, looking at investing in stock markets, bonds, cryptocurrency, just trying to expand the range, the interest and the returns on the money that I have. So I'm really trying to open up my mind into new investment portfolio opportunities and growing my money at a faster rate than it currently is in commercial banks. But definitely savings, investing is my main priority for the year and reducing on my debt burden.
Quinn, we seem to have a savvy one here. He's talking about cryptocurrency investment, but he still has not been very specific. What advice do you have? He seems to be on the right path, but what advice do you have for him?
Well, I would say first and foremost, do as much research as possible. We've seen the popularity of so many investment schemes and different resources come about, especially since the inception of COVID. There were even things called susu, I think it was, and different people were jumping into different things. So just do as much research as possible, get as much information that you can. We all know that an investment in land and investment in property usually is a good investment because those are appreciating assets. So those are things that you can keep in mind. Endowment plans, as mentioned, the interest rates are very favorable. You can yield a great profit on your investment. And again, just do as much research as possible, because you don't want to just jump into something because it sounds like it's going to give you a lot of money and then you end up actually losing money. So take your time, do your research, and make an investment step by step, from the inception once you decide to do that.
Yes, as you mentioned, during COVID, we used to have them before, but during COVID, they seem to just balloon these Ponzi schemes. And I know several people who got caught in those traps. So the key here is doing your research and make sure that you're making sound investments. So Quinn, we have our last individual. She's from Montserrat. She seems to have her business organized, but we'll hear from her and then you take it from there.
My first goal is to start an emergency fund. One of the things that COVID taught us more than anything else is that there are so many unexpected things that can pop up in life and we must be ready. So I have already prepared a separate account at my bank that is dedicated to the fund, and I will start with a minimum of $200 monthly. It can be more, but I won't go below that because I would like to build some consistency with this account so that at the end of the year, I can see that I did accomplish my goal. My second financial goal is to make a household purchase that will cost about $2,500 and to do this debt-free. I am preparing my down payment, which will help to reduce the amount that I will have to pay monthly so that it will be affordable budget-wise. Of course, this goal may be completed before the end of the year, but we shall see. This also means that I may have to cut some of the excess spending in other areas of my budget, but I know that if I want to accomplish my goals, I have to make some sacrifices as well.
It's very good that you have a detailed plan. You know how much you want to save, you know what it is you want to purchase this year, and you already have a plan to make a down payment to purchase that item. The only bit of advice I would give you is, if it is possible, to fully save toward purchasing that item, as opposed to just making a down payment and then having to pay another monthly payment to finish off paying for that item. I would encourage that, because sometimes it just takes discipline to save outrightly to purchase the item, to rid yourself of the obligation of having to repay higher purchase or loan. So think about that. If it is possible, I would encourage you to go that route, but it's good that you already have a detailed plan. You already want to save. So just remain committed and make the right adjustments so that you can stay on track.
Quinn, thank you. I just want to recap these pieces of advice that you have given to people of the region when it comes to meeting their financial goals. You talk about the importance of being consistent and disciplined, having specific goals. How much do you want to save? What do you want to save it for? When do you want to achieve that? You talked about debt and the importance of living within your means and consolidating so that you can manage your debt better. And of course, you spoke about financial stability and the importance of investments. And for businesses, the whole idea of taking advantage of challenges, what seems to be challenges. Anything else as we wrap up this important and quite informative and interesting discussion?
I would encourage each person to remain consistent and to have a carefully laid out plan that you can follow. Just remember, nothing happens overnight. So you have to give yourself time to get accustomed to conforming to the budget, and recognize that if adjustments have to be made, that is all a part of fulfilling your goals and staying on track with your budget. So I wish you the very best in the pursuit of your goals for 2022, and having a budget is extremely important, and please adhere to it, follow it, and accomplish your goals throughout the year.
Great. Thank you very much, Quinn. Thank you for speaking with us on ECCB Connects and sharing your experience and advice.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
We now present Did You Know?
Did you know that a core function of the ECCB is maintaining the value and stability of the EC currency? The EC currency has maintained a fixed exchange rate of EC $2.70 to US $1 since 1976.
We've come to the end of this week's episode of ECCB Connects. Thanks for watching, and we invite you to join us next week for another program.